you are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of Knuckle. Welcome, my friends, to a show that nearly almost positively never ends. I am your host with the angry most, Eugene S. With the S standing for sausage. Round number 302. We're coming perilously close to 251. For those of you who don't know, we go backward in time. Dankeschön. And yes, I'm eating this show. You don't like it? Bail out now, baby. Of course, my mouth is torn up from fighting. I'll explain that later. But first, this word from Bob Riley, singer for Stigmata. Calling it just. Song is called Intro, All of Nothing. It's been our intro music from the beginning. Because of these words. I'm on my way back to nowhere. I took my time, but I could not see too clear. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Of being paid back in full, always nothing. All right, my friend. Yeah, you see, I went from plural to singular. We're going to have a special guest call in. Maybe he'll give me a break and I can finish eating my sandwich. Like I'm supposed to starve because you want to hear me chatter on about MMA. I got to eat. I'm losing weight. Anyway, my mouth was messed up because I got into a fight. Well, I didn't really get into a fight. That's not accurate. You know, I'm training every day. And it was great. Last night I went to see Dillinger Escape Plan play in this club in San Francisco, a club that Oxbow's guitar player would never play because the sound was crazy. It was terrible. We went to see if it was really terrible to watch the show. And it was great. But, professional photographer I'm married to said, look, we want to get some photos. I'm going to stand right at the front. I said, will you stand? I'll stand around you. We'll get some good photos here going. And I could see people were like, oh, this poor Negro. He doesn't know what's going to happen when the music starts. He is not at all prepared for what's going to happen when the music starts. I'm not prepared. Much like penis pics, which were a popular thing in Europe, but which I had to apologize a few shows ago because I introduced them here in America and made them big, and now it's ruined by guys who don't have half the talent. Much like that, whatever these guys expected to happen next, I created. So somebody wasn't prepared for what happened next, but that somebody was not me. And at one point, in the middle of the show, somebody's like punching me in the face, right? I can see a little bit in my eye here, right? Like 1, 2, 3. I'm not turning around. I'm used to getting hit in the face. I turn around to look at who's punching me in the face to see if it's intent, whether I got to stomp this guy like a roach, or whether it's like, I turn around, the guy's like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, you know what? I gotta let the guy slide. That's raw enthusiasm. How are you going to punish raw enthusiasm by stomping him into unconsciousness? Well, anyway, at the show, I'm talking to I'm talking to Greg Puciato, singer. He's into martial arts. Ben Weinman, guitar player, guy who founded the band. He's taken Haggadah, not Haganah, this kind of martial arts, Krav Maga-like. And he's from Jersey. Used to go to City Garden, same place. Joe, who was that guy who had the TV show? John Stewart used to hang out. Rough and Tumble Club, learned how to fight there. So we were all talking about the next UFC, the UFC on August 20th. Diaz versus McGregor. Now, Diaz versus McGregor, first thing before we get down this road, you have to understand one thing. I have a very fractured family, and that I'm estranged from my father. Big surprise, right? Well, my father's youngest daughter spoke to me for a period of time, and then called me and said, "Oh, I've been talking to our father again." And I'm like, "All right." And she was like, "Yeah, so that's it." I go, "Good, you gotta do what you gotta do, I don't care if you talk to him or not. It's not my business. You talk to him if it makes you happy." She says, yeah, okay. Well, all right. See you later. And I didn't realize until 2 years later that what she really meant was that she was no longer going to speak to me. And I thought, you know what? There's a sickness in my family. Because, I know there are families that are as sick. But no matter what you do, unless you try to kill somebody else in the family, or unless there's rape or sexual molestation involved, has it ever happened that a mother says to de-brotherizes siblings, de-sisterizes siblings? Do siblings, they may not be friendly, but do siblings say to each other, "You're not my sister anymore"? Well, no, in actual fact, until you die, I will be your sister. You may not like me, I may not like you, but I'm your sister. I'm going to de-brother you. You're not my brother. I'm going to choose another brother. You can divorce wives and husbands. You can't divorce siblings. Stop talking to them, can't divorce them. But this idea that you would have to, as a binary choice, is fucking ridiculous, all right? So right away before we start talking about Diaz and we start talking about Conor McGregor, realize we're talking about branches of the same fucking tree. I don't want this to get lost. I'll give you a prime example. The band Gorilla Biscuits got on stage. The guy Siv, who sings for the band, got on stage and said some shit about all lives mattering. The hipster portion of the hardcore crowd flipped out and said, "Oh, another hardcore kid with clay feet. All these hardcore guys make rightward turns. They become authoritarian, and they're siding with cops and and then people like, no, you don't understand. This is about brotherhood. We back Civ all the way." And I put some shit on my wall about New York hardcore. Very few can make the claim. And I'm telling you, if you're in New York and you listen to hardcore in 1989, I know you think you're New York hardcore. God love you. Who am I to judge? But New York hardcore for me are those people who were there from 80, 81, 82, and 83. That's it. Rabies, Stigma, Roger, Robbie Crip Crasher, Ira, Gigo, Googie, John Joseph. I could keep going. Laura, Yana, Chupanko, Lisa from Anti-Warfare. There were a few. Everybody else were Johnny come fucking latelys. So I say something about, I put a picture of me in Stigma up. I say something about New York hardcore. Somebody goes, "New York hardcore backs Gorilla Biscuits." I go, "Really?" The person writes, "I would hope so." And I would go, unless they're being chased by douchebags with knives, cops with nightsticks, or I had a third category or something. They don't really need my backing. In fact, if I say something stupid online and I'm being attacked by the world, I don't want any of you to defend me. Just sit back, because if that's the worst thing I have to deal with in 2016, I'm okay. I don't have cousines trying to beat my head in on Howard Beach or the Jersey Boardwalk. You know, I don't have Dominican drug dealers try to knife me on stairwells. Somebody doesn't like me on the internet. Ooh. Right? And they were like, yeah, I guess you're right. I'm not part of this outrage culture. So anybody who lives in the UK and is going to try to get your feelings hurt because of some national identification, don't do this. Do not do this. It's pointless. It's a pointless effort. And this is why, like, the Palestinians and the Israelis can't make this shit work, because essentially they're the same people. And right away, somebody's I know on the keyboard outside of Zach, none of you have any claims to make a counterclaim to that outside the fact that maybe you just feel like it. I'm not going to wade into this. I'm talking about two fighters who, in my mind, are more alike than they're like different. Not mirror images, which would be reversed. So Conor loses the first. I mean, it was a stumble, screw up from which business and finance dictated the outcome. How do we? RDA gets hurt. Conor laces up his boots and starts to create a casus belli for a later engagement by calling him a pussy. The guy is afraid. All these Brazilians, they run, they hide, they can't handle it. And as it was, he was losing that battle going into that battle. RDA. English is not his first language. Dude was running laps around him, and it was in his head. The toilet, and dude's like, I bought a Mercedes-Benz for every single one of the members of my family. Maybe I gotta keep this. I'm a shark. I gotta keep the cash coming through the gills. Now, one of the journalists, I think from MMA Mania, tied it in, said this is perfectly played by the Diaz. The Diaz is called Nate called out a what is this? Called out March 30th, 2017. Okay, called out Called out Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor must have been sitting there in the audience going, I got a few things I want to talk about. I had to get some hamburgers and maybe some green beer. And then suddenly he hears his name. He looks up and Nate is calling him out. He goes, that's funny. He probably went home that night and he was like, oh, that's funny. Is that kind of funny? So much so that the seed was set in a really comfortable way. So RDA is out, and they're like, who could we? Where's Nate? I'm sure they called other people before they called Nate, because the Baldwin is thinking this guy is not nearly worth the freaking trouble. I can't stand these 209 guys. You know why you can't stand the 209 guys? Because it's essentially, again, a intrafamilial issue, but just East Coast versus West Coast. What? I'm getting invited. My kids invited me to like choir spring conferences, like a million. I come to every single one, kid. You don't have to send me. You send me one invite. So, they flipping the bird. And I tell you, the bald one, the Zuffa, the UFC, they're obsessed with All American. No way, shape, or form. And this is what we're realizing in this age of Trump, that, like, who is it? Said Donny Hathaway saying the world is a ghetto. The world is 209. I don't know if the bald one has walked through the arena, but it's 209. And if he walked through the arena in Dublin and he had ears to understand, he would understand that the people showing up in Dublin who can't afford the seats closer to where his seat are the Irish version of 209. You see, the people that are sitting off the cage, those $2,000 seats that they either conk because they're celebrities or they have the money to pay because they're rich, they're not 209. But the people who make those seats possible, the guys who are sitting up in the nosebleeds with the seat in the front cut into your knees like me, that's 209. UK, Irish version versus, doesn't matter. So they make this call. They make the call to Nate, and Nate's like, man, I'm not have too much training, but you know what? Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. There's a word for it. I looked up the word for it. And I can't remember the context, except I was hating on somebody. And I said, there's got to be an official name for, you know, hatred. And then, of course, there is an official name, of which has now slipped my mind. Hang out on dictionary.com. Sometimes you find out good things. So Nate says he takes 11 days notice, comes in, and you know, we don't have to relitigate the fight. You know what happened with the fight. And afterward, there's an intense period of soul searching and deck chair arranging. The bald one says, you're still good, kid. You're still good. Lose the weight. You know, come back to get the Aldo return. Make it like it was an aberration. I had to test myself. There's a reason why we have weight divisions in MMA. You know, the guy's a champion, and you know, he's a champion up there. I'm a champion down here. We could peacefully coexist. Nah, baby. True believers don't do this. True believers go back to the boardwalk. The drawing board. And he pulls in some jiu-jitsu guy, and you know, you got Kavanaugh, John, and you know what these are supposed to do? These are supposed to be little brain bombs. These are supposed to be little brain bombs, and these bombs are supposed to go off in Nate's head. And you know, I can tell you beyond any degree of certainty that these little brain bombs are not working. They're not working. You know why they're not working? They're not working because if dude did what he did on 11 days, given 3 months, what do you think is going to happen? Now, wait a second. Don't connect that to where I'm taking the argument about the eventual outcome. Don't get there yet. Now, I've done fights where I had to lose a bunch of weight, eat nothing but breath mints for 2 days going into the fight. And it's almost purposeful, probably, because I know what weight I need to be if I'm gonna compete at a fight in November, December. I know what weight I need to be. Lose it. Oh, you're gonna fuck around over 10 pounds. You could have lost that 10 pounds as nothing. You could have lost that back in September, and easily, comfortably walked around with it. But you didn't do that. Nah, because you're creating a ground plan so later you can go, you know, the breath mints is not. Man, I gassed. My first fight was back in 1990 something or other. I taped my wrist. Why did I tape my wrist? I don't know. Because I'm a stupid ass bodybuilder and was used to using wraps and straps, and it just seemed like something to do. 90 seconds in, I couldn't close my hand. They were like cartoon hands because I put them too tight. And the blood was like collecting in my hands. They were like Mickey Mouse mitts. They're like Mickey Mouse mitts. Hold on, the guest is gonna call. All right, he's gonna call it. We're gonna talk a little bit about. There's a guy from the MMA Advocate Show. We're gonna talk a little bit about this matchup that I'm getting to. So you know, I'll fight him. Fuck it, fight him. Whatever. So there's an intense period of soul searching on the part of Mystic Mac. And he's like, I'm going to bring in a jiu-jitsu guy. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do that. And Kavanaugh saying, yeah, we're going to dropping these brain bombs. It's almost like cheating it. So we also do realize it's our last, you know, we can't, I'll quit if you know who said that? 50 Cent said that. If Kanye sells more records than me, I'll quit. Yeah, that didn't work out that well for him. These little brain bombs, man, and a lesser fighter, man, these guys are motivated. He can't lose this fight. He can't lose this fight. He can't lose this fight. Oh, really? Well, Mr. D says it best, you know. He says he sounds like that guy who's going on a date, and he's asking himself, what happens if I can't get it up? Again. Yeah, what happens? Look, let me tell you something. Everything that he should have gotten, he missed. Now, Nate has not got a perfect record. He's not like one of these undefeated cats who won or Johnny Boney Joni. He's not got that going. He's got enough losses so you could, but you know what you take? You take the split decisions, and you get rid of them. Just take the decisions and get rid of those. Let's get rid of them. Styles make fights. These are bad fights because of bad style matchup. Whatever. Let's get rid of them. Let's look at one. Let's look at the Josh Thompson fight. The Josh Thompson fight. Now, what did he do that was different? Josh Thompson comes from AKA, American Kickboxing Academy. He kicks. Well, it's not that big of a deal. He's fought other guys who kick. You know, Mystic Mac threw lots of kicks. You see that head motion I just made? Well, those of you listening on the radio can't see it. I'm moving my head back. You know? You got a station, you got that melon on top of your neck moving back. You know, you take it, there's some percentage, in terms of physics, some percentage kind of remove. I'm taking some of the power away. I don't know if you were there. I was there, cage side for that knockout. And Nate leaned forward. He went down as a kick was coming up. You don't have to be a physicist to know that that's going to sting a bit. And he was out. And he took it on the chin and got beat me. It happens. Like he's gone to say, I expect. So, okay. So now get around to what Mystic Mac is thinking. He's paying attention to everything but that. He's self-directed because true belief has to do with true belief in self, right? Or process, or anything, maybe. But primarily, it keeps you from seeing things as they are. Like Wallace Stevens said, the man on the blue guitar plays things as they are. It's hard coming off the blue guitar. The sound, the sight affects what you understand. He's paying attention to what he did. And this is the wrong way to approach it. It's like, oh, I got a jiu-jitsu guy here. I got to work on it. Because let me explain to you the scenario as it lays. Your wrestling might be better. Because, okay, I'm going to shoot in. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to wedge him in a corner and ground and pound him. Great. Can you stop yourself from getting armbarred? Can you stop yourself from getting triangle choked? Can you keep your back from getting taken? Can you offer anything, a reasonable counter to a Cesar Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt? All right, so maybe this is not that good of an idea to take the guy down and try to hold him down, given that he's bigger, he's lanky. You know what? They say this. One time I got tricked by a sports agent extraordinaire, Sal Russo, and he's like, oh, shit, this is Nick and Nate's dressing room. Let's go on in, say hi. I figured, screw it. He knows these guys. I walk into the middle of the dressing room. I go, hey, you guys. Because I thought sports agent extraordinaire Salvatore Russo was there with me. Unbeknownst to me, he hid outside the door and let me just walk in and say, hey. And the guys were totally cool. They just looked at me and was like, unidentified Negro, cool. Unidentified Negro object, a uno. And they just went back to what they were doing. But one thing I noticed is that they're big. They're big. I mean, like they're tall. Like I've shrunk over time, but oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing, Eugene?
All right. So we're gonna give you a few minutes. This is a fast talking show because we gotta get in and get out. Nobody gets hurt. So tell people who you are.
Hey, everybody. This is Dave Rodriguez, the MMA Advocates, via Crossbones MMA, Albuquerque, ESPN Radio 1017. Yeah, definitely glad to be on. And get on the Knuckle Up. Pleasure to be on, my friend.
Well, he's by virtue of the fact that you said 1017. I mean, you got call numbers. So this is like big time. I'm wearing a top hat right now in my underwear. You got call numbers. That's the difference. So anyway, so where I was going with this argument was right away that I think that Mystic Mac is so discombobulated by his loss that instead of focusing on what he needs to do to beat a Nate, he's focused on what he needs to do. And these are fundamentally, divergent approaches to the fight game. But now that I got you on, you're a guest. You're the first guest of the new Knuckle Up, I have to say, because once we moved off of recording the show and just did it live, I stopped having guests unless they were here in the living room. So you're like the first. So tell me now, because I'm going to weave back around this, but you're here now. What are the ramifications of a loss for Mystic Mac? Where does he go? Where does he go from here if he loses? In terms of our rankings, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting, you know, just the way this is going to play out. I mean, we all know where possibly goes in a win. You know that, you know, guaranteed is going to open the floodgates for, you know, fights in all different, you know, weight classes, whether it's 170, 155, or besides the, you know, hype up a big fight at 145 of rematch with Jose. But, you know, in a loss in devastating fashion, I think, you know, Conor's going to be put in a very tough place. I don't see, you know, the Aldo fight being such a big time rematch. It kind of just depends on the way Conor is able to carry himself in this bout. Like you mentioned, a lot of good things, like, you know, this approach to this fight. You don't agree to a lot of the training regimen that's definitely as opposed to last time out the way he looked. So I think he's really in a very, very tough spot. I think the fight will end in a probably a submission or a knockout on either side. So that doesn't bode well for Conor McGregor. But I think Nate Diaz is going to go out on his shield and likely Conor. So it sets up an exciting bout to where Conor McGregor's in that place in a loss in any sort of way.
Do you see him? Do you see wood piles in his future?
Very, very possible. I mean, just the way, you know, the way his talk, he sounds like a whole different guy. I mean, we talked about it on Advocates. We all know what the telltale signs were to the previous fight, but this time around, I mean, he's got pictures with who is he with Ronaldo. I mean, he's still doing the usual Conor Mac kind of things, but like you said, Eugene, as a practitioner of jiu-jitsu yourself, I mean, no matter who he's working with, the time frame which he's putting in dedicating a lot of time to his ground game, I don't think is going to be sufficient enough to at least counter Nate or to actually implement a dominant ground game on his end. So doesn't look very good for Conor, but like I said, it's going to be a matchup where both guys are going out on their shield. We're going to see an exciting main event. I'm a lot more hyped for 202 than I was UFC 200. I'll tell you that, Eugene.
Yeah, I think. Well, 202 seems to be a product of things going right, whereas 200 was a product of things very much going wrong. So this is the primary difference. But I'm looking forward to it. But now you also have in Nate Diaz, you also have a guy, a slippery division guy, can fight in any number of different divisions. So with a win, what is he? With a win and a big payday, what is and some sort of discontent with the bald one? What happens? What happens to a win? I mean, you can't even say ascendant because he's there. Nate wins. What happens?
Yeah, I'm going to give a lot of credit to my man Fred Kirby, fellow advocate. He's made a very good point on the way this fight's going to play out. I think the fight with Eddie Alvarez presents itself for Conor. I think that's a fight exclusively for Conor if he wins. Uh-huh. Not necessarily the same way if Nate Diaz were to win the fight, in which he probably would demand that 155-pound title fight. But like you said, he could fight in a couple different divisions. 170, he's fought before. He looked real good at 55. He beat a top opponent in Michael Johnson, a couple months back in December. So I do not think there's a title fight for Nate in a win in any sort of fashion. But if it's real dominant and he looks real sharp out there, I mean, everybody knows Nate's got a full camp this time around. That's kind of the key difference in this one. So it'll be interesting to see what plays out and what type of finish. So credit to Fred Kirby. Absolutely agree. It's exclusive for Conor. It pretty much hits the reset button. It makes Conor presents all those month fights. It opens the floodgates. Again, I know you'd agree to that.
Yep. And I mean, it is full of upside for 209. Very very definitely. All right, man. So we're at 8:10. You know, things move fast here. We got our 6 minutes with you. Thank you, David. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for having me in. Last Wednesday. We'll try to do it again some other time. And then when we have a slower time, those of you who don't know, but David is a guy who painstakingly filled up my brackets with Phantom Toll Booth, Major Tom, Lost Battalion, went through and thought cleverly, put about 10, 15 people in each division. And we were going to do that breakdown before I got obsessed with, as a result of the Dillinger Escape Plan show, got obsessed with this idea of Conor, McG, and Diaz. So that was the plan. We'll come back and do that some other time. So thank you, man.
Well, Yeah, absolutely, Jim. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it would be a pleasure to get you back on Advocates. And yeah, everybody, if you haven't listened before, tune in. We're on every Wednesday, the MMA Advocates via Crossbones MMA. So shout out to everybody. Appreciate you listening, and thank you. Thanks again, McG.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. So he jumped ahead a bit. So what I was saying was, so Conor McGregor is preparing for Nate. It has more to do. It's more self-reflective, and this is befitting the nature of a true believer. So he's like, if I only hit a little bit harder, I had it. What did I do right in that fight? I had him going the first round. And I was scoring. And okay, those fights would have worked against somebody who was small. Guys I'm used to hitting. So all I have to do is, instead of delivering a 6, I dialed up to 8. I got him on his back. He's down, brain boggled. I can get a stoppage out of this fucker early, and I'm back. You know, I'm back. God will have smiled on me again. But you know, the problem with true belief as it works through aggrieved peoples, whether we're talking about Palestinians or Israelis or Germans at the end of World War I, that subsequently gave birth to the Nazis. The number one problem with aggrieved people is, you know, if they, or we're seeing right now with Trump, any little bit of pushback, you know, like Sade says, touch him and he folds, you know. So going into it, he's dialed it in. I'm hitting harder now. I'm getting more with the head movement. In other words, I'm hitting harder and I'm making myself harder to hit. And you know, what could you do with jiu-jitsu that would make sense over the course of time? Well, okay, I'll tell you what I could do with jiu-jitsu that makes sense over the course of time. I could work on escapes. I might actually get fairly good at escapes. My defense is my Eugene S. Robinson's defense is a black belt level defense. But nobody thinks I'm good at jiu-jitsu because I can't turn that defense into opportunities to tap people all the time. You know, and believe me, you know, you don't want to see me tap it. Like today, I sat down after we trained. I go, let's see, who did I tap today? Well, I tapped you, Isaac, and you, Frederick, and did I tap you, Ricardo? I don't remember. He goes, no, actually, you were trying to tap me vainly, and I dropped a knee on your face, and you had to let go, and your gi choke was for naught. So I'm disgusting, in other words. So I'm gonna hit him harder. I'm gonna really put some leather in those. I'm gonna get on the ground. He'll be so brain boggled he won't be able to use his little jiu-jitsu against me, and I will win the fight. The second things depart from that script. It's just like the guy, like Mr. D said. You know, I'm about to go on a date, asking myself what happens if I can't get it up again. And that guy's all of a sudden, now he's on the back foot. Now he's scrambling. So how do you beat a Nate Diaz? Well, if you can somehow get him coming forward while your foot's going up, you got that. What did he do? Josh fucked with his rhythms. I mean, he was going down for a reason. He was going down this way for a reason. But those guys are tall guys. They're tall and thin. I thought Billy Bob Thornton was tall. He's not, actually. He's shorter than I have to look down to see Billy Bob Thornton. I thought it would be the same thing with the Diaz. It's like, Jesus Christ. Nick is like, man, like you're like man-sized, Jack. I guess you got to like look up at you. And it could, you know, bad posture, you know, but he's probably about 6'2". So you look at an uppercut that comes, you look at a Tyson uppercut. When I interviewed Evander Holyfield said, you think I'm the only one who's cheating? Tyson was cheating. He was actually leaping off of his feet, trying to. Tyson, of course, for his part, you know, said, well, yeah, I'm trying to get the guys doing dirty shit to me, headbutting me. I'm trying to retaliate. There's a genetic predisposition, increased power. Taller guys have it. They're bringing the fist down further. There's the power coefficient. Crack your fucking skull. Consequently, you're reaching up into this thing. So, you know, does Nick step out? Does he take a long step? Does he take a long entry step? Because even if he does take a long entry step, he's tall enough that doesn't put you in a range where Mystic Mac is getting any kind of muscle behind that uppercut. Now, I was making me nervous. It was making me nervous. He's all right. I said, he's gonna hit Nate. But Nate has said it all the way, and he said it in a way that was super convincing, and I'm sure it got in Mystic Mac's head. I'm getting hit by professional boxers. Andre Ward hangs out there. Well, you think that what's at the end of your hands, what's at the end of your wrist, is more significant than what Andre Ward's laying on me? I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with my brother, Jake Shields, Gil Melendez, all legitimate top 10 guys. Who are you training with? I'm not doing this occasionally. I'm not doing this for the last 2 months. I've been doing this for the last 10 years. What are you thinking? I do triathlons for fun. You know, oh yeah, life is motion, and motion is life, and the fight game is about. Keep in mind, I'm not all in the bag for 209. I'm just laying out for you the mistakes that I believe he's making. So right away now you get Mystic Mac, who in the second that he has a little bit of trouble, all Nate has to do is run from him for one round. If he even gets to the second round, I guarantee you what happened in the second round of the last fight is in his head. You don't see he says, "Oh, I'm going to knock him out by the no, you're not." And then I got some of you commenters going, "Yeah, I hope when Mystic Mac takes it that you don't scream collusion." I said, "Well, it depends on what it looks like. There are lots of things that could happen in the fight game that result in a Conor McGregor win. Patrick Cote comes to mind against Anderson Silva. My knee, okay, Patrick Cote's knee really went out. It was disgusting to watch. I hated seeing it, and he lost that fight. Anderson Silva himself against Chris Weidman the second time with a broken leg, bing, that was a loss. The likelihood of Nate, the thing is, you have outside players. You have Captain Kirk. The bald one is Captain Kirk in this instance, shows up and changes the dynamic. Whatever he did that pissed Nate off a few weeks ago makes collusion maybe less likely or more likely. Remember a couple of shows back, I said collusion. And people, what do you mean, Eugene? What do you mean collusion? I would rather fight 3 $5 million fights than 2 $5 million fights. So maybe a trilogy is an offering. Yeah, except in the Diaz's, you're dealing with some of the most honest people in the fight game. Nick has gone on record saying, "I hate fighting. I hate it." And what does it say about you that you like it? You think it's fun being out there? It's not fun. Guys trying to hit you, trying to take away your dinner. You think it's fun? Yeah, I lived in my car to do this. You think that was fun? And triathlons, those are fun. Triathlons are fun. But fighting, guys trying to hurt you, you know how I feel the next day after a fight? That's not fun. I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's fun. This is not fun. This is work. In other words, something that he would just as soon do if he had something better to do. You know, or like the Japanese hardcore band said on a t-shirt I saw in Tokyo once, "It no game." It no game. It no game. You know? So adversity, in the face of adversity, I'm predicting a Mystic Mac folds because there are too many thoughts rushing through his head like 5 rounds. He's going to be this good in the round number 4, number 5. I can't put him away the 3rd round. My cardio is not good. I'm sucking wind. I'm carrying away all this muscle. There are a lot of that. And you know what the inside of Nate's head looks like at this point? It's like, I get this $5 million. I can fucking leave. I never have to come back. I'm 209 all the way, baby. I'm not moving. You could live happily the rest of your days in 209 for $5 million, provided you can keep other people from robbing you. Providing you can keep other people at 209 from robbing you, you would live, and it's already happened, I think, to Nick at least one point. I guarantee you that's the last time. Somebody was interviewing me last night. I said, "Where do you live, Eugene?" And I told him. He was like, "Oh." Like the guy said from Andre 3000, or Big Boy said, when he did an MTV Cribs, after he showed something nice in his house, he looked in the camera and said, "Don't try it." That's what I say. Nothing in this house is worth your life. Nothing. Nothing. You know, absolutely nothing. And I guarantee you, it wouldn't be an easy death either. Bang, bang. Oh, call the cops. I think I shot somebody who was trying to steal my car stereo. Nah. Nah. How did he get his arms and legs and his fingers broken? Well, he fell. Anyway, that was a tangent. So Mystic Mac has all of these things going against him. But what he's got going for him, providence and luck. You can't devalue the value of luck. You cannot. Any good thing, I got a job for New York City Department of Parks, paid me $1,500 one summer when I was 19. Now, I had an in for the job. I went to the New York City Department of Parks in Central Park, and my stepfather, who used to be a journalist for the New York Post and then Newsday, had connections. You talk to this guy. I go in, I can't get any love at all. They're like, fuck it, have a seat, fill out the form. I'm in a phantom toll booth. I got nothing. I got an 88 and then already up to 7. I'm like stuck. And I stay for like 2 hours and I go, you know what, fuck this. I'll get a job in an ice cream store, restaurant. I'm doing something. And I'm walking down the stairs and this black cat in a suit is like, runs out of the building. He's like looking around. He's like, hey. A few people turn around, they keep going. I keep going too. He's like, hey, you, anybody. I go, you talking to me? I said, he says, you're anybody, right? I go, yeah. He goes, you want a job? I go, well, I came here for a job, but do you know so-and-so? Because I figured he was my connection. He saw me leave and didn't want me to leave. He's like, I have no idea who that is. This was luck. I could have been getting a hot dog. I could have gone to the bathroom. I could have been anywhere but those stairs at that time. I got lucky. I had the skills to be able to do the job. Any chimp could have done the job, but I did the job well. Got the job. Not through the connections that were pulled, just got the job. So luck is, don't devalue luck. People do stupid shit. My glass gets cracked. Water flows out of that glass. The glass probably didn't start the day wanting to get cracked. Got cracked, water flows out of the glass. So don't devalue the presence of luck. Being a good fighter is being like that water, all over the possible entries into the other side. Fedor was great at that. Ooh, I'm going to try a spinning, boom. Arlovsky taking a nap in the air before he lands. That's always a possibility. But Conor McG is not in that possibility universe now. This is the problem with you. He makes a claim that providence is on his side, like Hitler on the mountaintop struck blind. God has sent me on a mission, and as long as he stands with me, no one stands against me. And as soon as the tide starts to turn, as soon as Stalin, they got bogged down in Stalingrad, some people go like, hey, you know, maybe God's not enough. I dare you, God's not enough. God would be plenty. No, but it doesn't matter because you open the crack and the window comes into these ideas of like, maybe I'll get it. Maybe I'm not getting it. I won't get it up again. I can't get it. And then you're done. It's a downward cycle spiral of nothingness. So, in other words, you got Nate, you got McG. What's similar process for Nate? Doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. There's no way that he can inculcate in Nate's mind any kind of self-doubt that the last 10 years haven't already been able to put there. He would have had to work exclusively with Javier Mendez at AKA for the last 3 months to make a fundamental difference. And it's not just the weight of the win or loss, it's everything that happens after that. Because suddenly you got to sit across the table from the bald one and you can't dictate terms. Well, I'll just go to WWE. Kurt Angle is saying he could do it. I'll pull him out. Go ahead. You learn like Kungle that ankle bone is connected to the foot bone and the knee bone is connected to the leg bone. Like Ronda, who lost Roadhouse when she lost the fight. I smell something burning. Here's my computer. So you're sitting across the table from the bald one, and you have nothing. You look at your plate. Yeah, you got sausages on your plate, but do you think the bald one, who's got 400 million sausages, do you think he gives a fuck about your 5 million sausages? Nope. You've been a thorn in the guy's side. Go fight WWE. Oh, I got the contract, so I get a piece of that, don't I? I guess I do. So what, you're gonna come back, and who are you gonna fight? Oh, you did beat Jose Aldo once. But you got to understand that you got a super cautious Jose Aldo now. Super cautious, guarded, and guy who wants to do nothing but destroy you. Won't make that same mistake twice. You got an RDA who's out of the money, who wants to destroy you. You said it, baby, red panty night. You got a rogues gallery of killers who want to kill you. And you are in a position where you can't possibly support another loss. Not this soon, and not if you're going to sit across from the bald one and demand that Rolls Royce money. And then suddenly you're not on Jimmy Kimmel anymore. And suddenly you're not on Jimmy Fallon. And suddenly Vin Diesel is not offering you roles that you could turn down. Suddenly maybe you get people in the family to sell those cars. Ma, Pa, you really need those two. Jesus, you really need those two cars. And Nate, there's no similar weight on Nate's head. Nate's been doing it for 10 years. He lives in 209. With that fight and this fight, this is a banner year for him. And not only that, the door opened a crack, and he sauntered through 209 all the way. In other words, he could lose this, and he's still doing Fallon, and he's still doing Kimmel. Actually, we get him on Knuckle Up again. He's actually not a friend of Knuckle Up. His brother is. So he's a known associate. He wins, he's golden. Like you heard David Rodriguez from MMA Advocates just say, go anywhere. Guy can go anywhere. It's like having mad, passionate sex with a woman who's 300 pounds. People are like, ew, you don't give me that ill stuff. It's the best of all possible scenarios. Why? Because you're super relaxed about being there, and she's super happy to have you. You know, now if you're hanging out with Kate Moss, you might be kind of touchy. Man, Kate Moss puts me on blast and lets the world know I'm lousy in bed. Oh my God, what if I can't get up? What if I can? And now you're panicked. A 300-pound woman, man, you could just have a jolly good time. Emphasis on jolly, the emphasis on good. That's where Nate is. He's still doing Kimmel, still doing Fallon, still doing a 209. Who is he? The guy you heard David Rodriguez said, he's not in the belt contention. He's actually shown everybody what that belt is worth precisely. What's it worth? And T. Wood is like, there's some rumor that the bald one said, okay, T. Wood, you're going to fight Stephen Wonderboy. And he's like, yeah, I don't think so, baby. Well, he's next in the numbers. Only numbers I care about are the numbers with the dollar signs next to them. Those numbers. No, but Wonder Boy, I don't know. I'm not trying to help you feel you're all-American, because I know that as a Negro, I know that you don't think that I'm an all-American. So, but I'm not trying to set up some handsome white guy for a big payday. Sorry. Give me the dude with the accent. What are we talking about? GSP. I got the text right here, baby. You guys remember that picture of me hanging out with GSP? It was David Loiseau, Jake Shields, me, GSP, and sports agent extraordinaire, Salvatore Russo. It was great. You get a sense of how tall everybody is. So you stand next to him. It was a good day, good night. That's when I was sitting down in the A seats again, before I realized it was a breach of my journalistic ethics. Yeah, whatever. So T Wood is like, nah, because it's sports entertainment, and finally, it's like somebody's been saying sports entertainment, and guys are worried about belts, and they're hearing sports entertainment, and guys are worried about belts because they can take them and they can put them up in the gym, and they can do a membership drive, and they can impress girls in the casino. Sports. You know what? I got a belt. You know how many people were there when I won that belt? About 36. You know how much money I made off that fight? Congo was right when he braced me in front of the whole school. How much they pay you for that? I hated him for that for a while, but he was like, right. No, you actually paid for that? You know that belt is not worth you paid for the competition to get that belt, right? Yeah, I got you. I had an account. I got audited twice by the IRS. They called me in. They go, we don't understand why you're still in business. I go, I don't know what you mean. Well, people are in business to do good business. Doesn't seem like you're doing good business. I said, what qualifies good business in your mind? And he just looked at me, smiling. You poor, sad son of a bitch. What constitutes good business is that you're making money at that business. You are not doing this. You have lost money. So I look at these figures and I start to think that maybe, just maybe, you're losing money on purpose so you don't have to pay taxes on the places where you are making money. I go, that's a rather astute assessment. Audited 3 times and then suffered a tax seizure. Yes, they're crafty. It's like somebody who's a black belt in Taekwondo coming in and training with me thinking that they're going to whip up on me. Nah, buddy. So T Wood, etc. I got a text from GSP. Why? Oh, GSP, he's rich already. Give a shit about a belt. The kids worry about belts. Who says that? Who says that? Is it Muda Baruch? No, it's Dillinger. I'm not talking about pound and about pants. I'm talking about dollars and cents. I'm talking about dollars and cents. So what do you now the bald one is in a weird position because everybody finally heard entertainment. Congo told us when he bought Strikeforce, and James Terry said, man, how do we make the jump? How do we go from being an ex-Strikeforce fighter to being a current UFC fighter? Congo looked at him and goes, fight an exciting fight. He said it again, entertainment. Be entertaining. All right. So what? Now you have a mutiny of people. Now you have an excess of what you want. You got everybody like, fuck, entertaining. I gotta be entertaining. Hey, don't you want to fuck that belt? I gotta fight a money fight because money fights are called money fights because people pay money for these money fights and they are entertaining. They're freaking entertaining, and we're there for entertainment. Nobody's parting for a nickel for shit that's not entertaining. If somebody told you it's the most depressing movie in all of creation, only a few of us would go to see it. I'd be there to see it, but maybe you wouldn't. So you have people right now. This whole Nate Mystic Mac thing is the apogee, apotheosis, the ultimate entertainment fight. It's why the UFC was created. And this, when they did a piece on Ozzy about this guy in Brazil who's trying to make MMA an Olympic sport. And I was like, yeah. And then they start going through the rules, how they're going to change the rules. And I'm like, no. Even with boxing this year in the Olympics, no headgear, baby. Get rid of the fucking headgear. Don't want to see it bastardized, don't want to see it. And I don't really give 2 shits about the rankings. Styles make fights, not rankings. It's like the whole BCS drama with college football. I know what the computers say, but I also know what my mind is telling me. This is tectonic. It is freaking tectonic. And like I said, you know, we've talked about this before. We've talked about winning by losing, losing by winning. And if you don't know this already, if you do not know this already, Nate has won. I don't give a fuck about the outcome of the fight at this point. Dude's won. You know. Now you take somebody like Trump, who's built a whole career on I am a winner. If he loses, he hasn't won. He can fall back on, well, our voices, the silent majority that made their voices known. This fucking prick in Egypt, this Egyptian judoka. This Egyptian judoka who was like, won't shake the Israeli cat's hand. Yeah, you know. You know when you can do that? You can do that when you win. John Jones has dropped this message on Instagram. Johnny Boney Joni just dropped this message on Instagram, tweeting and deleting, and says he has good news and expects to be back in the octagon soon. You heard it here first.
Got myself into. Just leave that all behind once for all. I'm sure you guys are curious about what's going on with this USADA situation. Obviously, I can't get into it because it's still pending. But what I can say is that we have found out lots of really good news, and I am expecting to be back in the octagon really soon. Thank you guys for your continued support. Love you guys, and I hope you are spending this Sunday with people that you love. All right, be good, and I hope to see you guys really soon. Bye.
I missed the first part. Let's play the first part again.
How's it going, Bones Jones supporters? If there are any of you guys still out there,
Hey, I'm here, buddy.
take a few seconds to say hello to you all and to give you a little update on how I've been doing. Been doing really good. Been training, spending time with family, attacking some of these legal issues that I've gotten myself into. Trying to really just leave that all behind once for all. I'm sure you guys are curious about what's going on with this USADA situation. Obviously, I can't get into it because.
All right, so there we made it full circle. So that just came in. Usually he waits until I've done the whole show and fucks me over and gets it. So Johnny Boney Joni, there he is. He said that he's back. You saw the thing. I guess that means that the B samples, who knows what happens. But, you know, he hasn't realized something that I'm still here. I'm still here, brother. I'm still here. I'm a supporter. But you haven't realized it. It's like one of those things like, you know, one of the things I like best about hanging out with porn stars is that it was an alternate reality. And given the close proximity to serious narcotics, porn stars, like if you and I make an appointment to meet, say, all right, man, I'll see you Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I'm a New Yorker. I'm there at 7:59. Tuesday, 7:59. Maybe if things are fucked up because I've been in California so long, maybe I'll show up at 8:05. But I'm there. You, with porn stars, they say, okay, we'll see you Tuesday, man. And they'll show up Tuesday in September. I'd be like, where the fuck are you? Where the fuck are you? Or I had a fight, an MMA fight. The guy was like, the fight, I'm not even gonna mention his name. He got busted for performance-enhancing drugs. Used to be an MMA fighter, was in the UFC. He was a promoter, wanted to get me down to Manaus to fight. I go, where's my ticket, man? He goes, just go to the airport. It's there, man. I go, what airline, man? He goes, well, whoever's flying to Brazil. Everybody flies to Brazil, man. I would just wander around the international terminal at San Francisco airport asking if somebody seen my ticket. So I didn't go do that fight. It's the same kind of thing. Leave it until that door fucking shuts. So you could say what you want. You could do what you want. There could be good news afoot. There could be that, get whatever. I love you, man, but I can't trust you. Can't trust you. You say show up Tuesday at 8. I say call me when you get there. What do you see around you? Put somebody on the phone who can who can vouch that you are at 40th and 8th Avenue, and I'll show up. I'll be a little bit late. Do not disappear. Stay on the phone with me the whole time. He settled the fucking, he settled the speed, the drag racing thing, but he's still in New Mexico. I got the picture of him with the mini mart guy. Got it. I got the picture of him with the mini mart. I haven't put it up yet. I got it. But everybody, if you think the lessons are lost, they're not. Everybody understood. That Nate Diaz story has sent tectonic reverberations through MMA that you have not seen before. All this talk about the Fighters Association. Somebody, Robert, dude, he keeps, I love you for fighting a good fight, but you're trying to, how come Mark Hunt is not pursuing legal action? Again, get the fuck out of here. There's only one language understood in this business. Business. And that's not an S, that's a dollar sign I'm using. That's the only language that's understood. The only one. Mystic Mac hasn't figured this out, or maybe he has. Nate Diaz, by holding the line, has figured it out. I mean, I think he's like, look, bird in the hand, two in the bush. I'm not playing ball. I don't think there'll be any collusion. Third fight, man, these guys are scandalous. I mean, anything could happen. They're promising me this, promising me that if I take it. Nah, it's not in my DNA. Can't do it. Can't go back to 209, haven't taken a dive for the short end money. I get this $5 million no matter what. It's all on Mystic Mac, all. And never have I seen a guy who could be so thoroughly sure, because I tell you what, even if he does win, he will not get credit for that win, because people will say, unless it's super convincing like Kavanaugh keeps saying, then people are like, well, it seems like a trilogy is in order. But the kind of mistakes that Nate has to make to lose that fight, inconceivable. Injury is the only thing I can think of. Or unless they've got some magical, mystical thing of he timing it, and when he holds down his hands or when he reaches out to give that slap, you're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, Andre Ward. You can't, I'm telling you, you just can't underestimate the difference. So it's going to be a great fight. Kid Nate is out of pocket this week. If I did it, we'll be filled in with a super secret surprise. Get Luke Thomas. Super secret surprise. Get Luke Thomas. Guest star Luke Thomas. And then the Care Don't Care brief you. Luke Thomas or something like that. No, Zane. People you don't understand why I got the Zane meme going. Let me explain to you. The show is run over 3 minutes anyway. Let me explain to you. It won't kill you. The memes are based on what makes Kid Nate uncomfortable. When he said something about Dallas, like, Dallas, let me tell you about that guy. And he was so visibly uncomfortable, it just amused the fuck out of me. And no matter how many times I did it, he got panicked because he didn't know what I would say. And at one point he said Zane. He said something about young Zane or something like that. Like if he had been talking about a woman, it would have been clearly that he was like kind of trying to get sexified. So he said Zane, young Zane. I said Zane. He's like, yeah, and I go, yeah. And he got like this really uncomfortable thing going. So that became the Zane meme. Now there are other guys on the show, and Steph and so on. They don't have memes for me yet because I haven't figured out what to say to make Nate uncomfortable when I say them. But, got Josh Salmon, Josh smoked salmon. It's not going to make Nate uncomfortable. You got to start thinking about lunch. But Dallas, let me tell you about that guy. And Zane, yeah, that worked for Nate. So my goal in life seems to be to make Nate uncomfortable. It gives me great joy. What can I say? Anyway, this is round number 302. We've gone 4 minutes over. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. S stands for sausage. Yeah. And we will see what we will see on August 20th. We got Chris Purdy coming in from out of town this week to film the Oxbow music video. If you are in the Bay Area and you want to be in the Oxbow music video, send me a photo of your face. No penis pics. I brought that over. Photo of your face. It's not the penis pic kind of movie. And you'd have to be in the Bay Area, obviously. We're going to be filming on the 19th, 20th, and 21st all day. I won't be there all day. Obviously, on the 20th, I'll be at my ass in a seat watching the fights. But fortunately, I hope my part will be done by then. Or it'll be done by then, or it'll be done by then. But if you're in the Bay Area, you want to be in the video, and you got a character full face and a suit, let me know. You can contact me through Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, but I gotta okay you because I want to know who's the party. Or you can OX_B as in Bruce OW at hotmail.com. Yes, hotmail.com. Be happy I don't yank out my AOL address. Screw you. I don't want Google having everything. And that's the end of the show. So we'll see you next week. Like I said, if I did it, Kid Nate's out of pocket. Oh, I don't care preview. Anyway, look what you made me do!